Hi, I'm Deepika Grover with Grover Mortgage Group.
And I'm Natalie Van Cardo with the Nat Nate Real Estate Team.
Welcome to our new podcast,
Real Estate of Mind,
where we discuss real estate, life, and everything in between.
We're excited for you to follow us and join in on our journey.
Okay, everyone, welcome back to the pod.
Welcome back.
Today we are going to talk about something serious and not what we were just talking about earlier.
You have to get
We want to cover common misconceptions. Oh my God.
Common misconceptions that people or the public have about mortgage brokers and real estate agents.
Yes,
There-
perfect. Thank you. Okay. Who do you want to start off?
I'll start. Okay. So, we'll have the myth.
Yeah.
And then we'll speak on to our viewpoint. Okay.
Perfect.
So mortgage agents only work for banks.
Okay, yeah. So this one I've heard a lot, and it can go both ways. So I've heard a lot of people say, oh, you only work for a bank or you only work for banks, and they don't know that I have other options, that I work with B lenders and I work with private lenders. So they think that if they can't get it done through a bank, then they have no options. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is people are like, oh, you don't work for banks. I actually just had this recently happen to me with the client that you referred to me. They ended up going to their bank location that they bank with. And then they're like, well, we didn't want to go with you because we didn't want to go into an alternative lender or a private lender. And I was like, no, I work with so many banks also. Yes, I have other options, but the reason to go with a mortgage broker is because they're able to shop around for you.
Okay, that's the hugest part. And I even so it's a common question that I get asked, or something I'm always saying to our clients, is that go to your bank, get an idea from them, but then also talk to a mortgage broker, because you have more leverage with different products, right? So you can compare, and then you can find them what suits best. And you're very open with them too. If they find a really good rate and good product somewhere else and you can't
match it or beat it.
Yeah. You'll say just go
100%. And that's happening a lot with us right now because the branches are offering ultra low rates that the broker channel just isn't getting. Mm-hmm. All of us brokers, we know that. We talk about it every single day. We are at a disadvantage here. And I'm never going to put my client at a financial disadvantage for my own, my own benefit. Yeah. But yeah, it's really important to know that we don't work for banks. We're independent contractors, just like real estate agents are, but we work with a plethora of banks. We also work with a plethora of alternative lenders, private and B lenders. Mm-hmm. We work with all of them. We work with over 70 lenders, sometimes more if you put in all the different private lenders that are out there. Yep. But yeah, that's a huge misconception that if you go with a broker, we're only going to put you with a private, or we're only going to put you with a more expensive option. That's not the case at all. I like to think of myself as a one-stop shop for clients, right? Because I can look at your scenario, I can figure out where to put you best, and I can find you the best rate.
Yeah. And banks can't do that. They literally just have their line of what they're offering. They have no clue what anybody else is offering. And I find that they're less educated in up-to-date terms and stuff. We've already
We've touched on it. Yeah, we touched on it.
Yeah. Just in terms of knowledge, having your pulse on the market, a mortgage broker, to me, is always the best option. Just because they can see what everybody's offering, essentially.
And also, we just have to be more up to date with our education. You were just doing your continuing education before we started filming, right? And we have to do that too. We have to do it annually. And then biannually, sometimes we have to do something else. And now we're getting new laws with anti-money laundering, because that's becoming a whole thing, and FinTrack. And there's so many things that we have to stay on top of that the banks maybe necessarily don't. And we have to, know rules and regulations of different lenders and policies. So I'm not saying don't go with your bank. That is not what I'm saying at all. It's just a common misconception that we either don't deal with banks or we only deal with banks. So just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah.
Okay. For you, I hear a lot of times that real estate agents just show homes.
Oh, I would love that.
What do you have to say about that?
That's the fun part of the job, is going to see different houses with your clients. But no, there's a lot to one, getting to a showing, getting the client. And then also what I do with my buyers is I sit them down and really get an understanding of as to what they're looking for. And then from that, I kind of sift through all the houses and kind of show them what my best options would be for them. And then also they're a part of it and they want to see certain homes. But it's funny because at the beginning, I always let them choose a bunch of homes that they want to see. And then I'll add one or two that I like. And they always end up liking the ones that I'm sending.
No
them.
way, really?
Yeah, because with the photos and stuff, I can tell if the kitchen's going to be big enough, or these other, like whatever it is with a home. And they can't see it at the beginning, especially if they've never kind of looked at MLS and gone through houses before. So it's a learning curve for them. And then I obviously gain their trust through that. Like, okay, you actually are listening to us and you know what we want. But showing is such a small portion. It's the negotiation process.
Yeah, I was going to say the negotiation process is what actually impresses me most about your job, because I'm always like, how do you know how much to offer on a house, especially when you're in a bidding war? It's like, how do you know what to offer to ensure that your client gets a house over somebody else? Like, I find that really impressive.
Okay, the bidding process is not my favorite because it throws logic out the window. So it's really, I kind of wash my hands. I say, these are the comparables. This is what you should roughly be paying for. You're up against 2, 3, 4 other offers, whatever it may be. You have to be confident that what you're putting in is what you're okay paying for the property.
And how do you know that what you're advising your client to put in for an offer is what the appraisal is going to come back at? That always impresses me too.
Well, because so we don't always know, but I obviously do it based on what has been selling. So we have market knowledge, and that comes with time. So we have our market knowledge, and we use that to position the house accordingly.
Yeah, because I'm always like I've yet to do a purchase that, other than pre-construction, that's different. Pre-construction comes back lower all the time just due to market changes, but I've yet to do a resale that has come back lower than, what they bought at.
So I have personally never had that experience. But when we were in the height of like 2020, whatever the craze was, that was my scariest time of like advising people, because I'm like, I would literally come out and tell them, if you pay too much, anything that is your property's not appraised at, say you buy it for $1 million and it's only appraised for 900,000, that extra 100,000 is coming out of your pocket. So you have to be okay with knowing that, and take the risk.
Yeah.
I hated that part.
Yeah.
Other agents love it because it's just really easy paydays for them. But for me, I always look at it as a lens as my consumer, my client. Are they going to be happy with this at the end of the day? A lot of people get really caught up in the emotion process of it. And it becomes like, I want the home over everybody else, and logic kind of goes out the window. So I'm the one kind of reeling them back. Yeah.
No, that's good. Your job is impressive to me. And I think people who say that, you guys just show homes, or is like, that's literally the easiest part. That's literally the easiest part.
Yeah, you just open doors. I'm like, no, actually, like, even so, we were talking about the buying. Negotiating is huge, and knowing how to negotiate, because a lot of agents don't. So knowing how to handle other personalities when you're talking to them, and pushing for your client without insulting the other people, and being mindful is kind of a lost art. Getting the clients to closing, another thing. So it's that whole avenue, helping them to organize that. And then listing is completely different. There's a whole marketing aspect to it.
Staging.
Yeah, like getting the home ready for list, kind of taking on all of the stressors of the client, because at the end of the day, they are hiring you to help them through this. So you want to put on all those burdens.
And even negotiating fees. Like, not everybody wants to pay a fee in negotiating.
I'm dealing that with right now.
And that's why I said it, because I know you're dealing with it right now, right?
Yeah.
And even like navigating that is difficult, because it's like, okay, how low do I go without kind of giving up my worth? But then also like, I want to keep this deal.
Well, I'm finding there's a certain age demographic that I keep coming up with it, and it is older. And they either have been burned in the past by agents, or at some point have gained this misconception about how we work. So they are very rigid and like, no, I'm not paying 5% for someone to list my house and get a $80,000 commission, which they don't really understand what that's made up of, and that the one agent doesn't get it all, and kind of the process that we have to take them through because they think they're more knowledgeable.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just tricky. But I find they end up turning out to be one of my best clients when I actually have that conversation and stuff with them.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. Let me go to your next question. Mortgage agents can guarantee you a loan.
Oh my God, this is my favorite one. And I actually say this to my clients sometimes when they get upset with me, like, oh, why can't you get me more? Or, oh, why is it taking so long to approve? And it's like, listen, if I was the one loaning you this money and I was the one underwriting this deal for myself, I would give it to you. But guess what? I'm not even underwriting the deal. I'm brokering it. Like, I'm just writing down my notes. I'm submitting the application. I'm writing down my notes. I am like the person who is convincing the underwriter at the bank to give you this loan. Like, I am doing this in your best interest. Like, I'm trying to make this deal look as presentable as possible. But at the end of the day, like, they have the yes or no of whether they want to approve the deal or not, right?
Yeah. So basically,
it's not my money.
I don't think people understand. Your job is to present this offer essentially
Exactly.
to the people with the money. And you're saying, hey, I have this house that you can loan on. These are the people that are going to be owning the home.
Yeah.
This is all the stuff you need to know. Is this something that you're interested in? And they don't really see it.
They don't see it that way because, and I have this issue a lot with mostly high income earners, obviously because of the whole ego thing, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, we should be, getting this loan with flying colors, as they should. I agree. Like, they're great. Like, worthiness is great. Like, they have great income. They usually have great assets, like great savings.
They usually have more
everything.
assets, which also need to be reviewed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they usually have great credit bureaus, everything, right? And I'm like, yeah, like, absolutely. Again, if it was my money, I would give it to you. But I'm taking this to like a multi-billion-dollar corporation here, and they need to review assets because they don't know who you are. I know who you are because I'm talking to you. The bank doesn't know who you are other than what I'm telling them, right? And also documents can get falsified, all this kind of stuff. So banks just really need to make sure that what they're seeing is correct. But anyways, I have this conversation with those types of clients all the time. And they're like, why is it taking so long? Or why are they asking for so many documents or this, that, and the other? And it's just like, it takes time, and banks are getting so stringent now with their approval processes, especially because of, like, again, anti-money laundering. Identity theft is huge. Appraisal fraud became huge in the last couple of years because appraisals weren't coming back at what clients needed because, the market tanked.
Yep.
And then a lot of people started doing appraisal fraud, so had to look out for that. Like, a lot of things that were not happening in the future started happening after the pandemic, and banks need to, look into it. Like, they need to be diligent.
Careful, right? Yeah.
And exactly, like, as you said, all I can do is do my best to present this offer and make it look as, appealing as possible. And we do appeal. Like, say I get a decline on a deal and Mark's gonna be like, oh, that's it. I'm gonna wash my hands and run away from this. No, I appeal. I go, hey, I want to appeal this decline. Or I take it to another lender that I think will like it. Happens all the time. Like, we are working behind the scenes for you with so many different lenders, and you don't even know that because we don't tell. Like, we only tell you when we get an approval, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. Like, you always have an option B, C, and D for your people.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
It's not like I'm just putting it here and let's hope. You're putting it into your idea of the best option, but then you're also having these other ones lined up in case it doesn't go through.
Always. So, like, I just had this one client who they wanted to do a refinance on their grandpa's home because it was free and clear, and, they needed money to do a renovation at their own home, whatever. The grandpa was happy to do it. And we couldn't get the refinance done on their grandpa's home just because the income wasn't servicing the debt. And so I was like, okay, like, you guys can't go on your grandpa's home. Let's just do a reverse mortgage for grandpa. The mortgage will still be under his name. The title of the home will still be under his name. He'll get the X amount of money with, like, no income verification because reverse mortgages need no income verification. And then you can do with the money what you please, like, as you please, right? And it was a great option for them, right? So I'm not just like, oh, can't do it. Like, sorry, go take a hike. Like, no, like, we're going to have options.
Yeah, exactly. That's good.
Okay, next one for you. Real estate agents just want a commission.
Don't we all? No. Okay, commission is how we get paid.
Yeah.
So we don't make an hourly wage.
Yeah.
We don't have our brokerage paying us. So commission.
There's no minimum wage over here.
No. So like literally we get paid by commission. And it's not a dirty word because lots of people get paid commission.
Yeah.
So there's that. But you need to understand your real estate agent's intent. Mm-hmm. So I am not just here to quickly sell your house, underlist it, not get you as best of an outcome as possible because I'm already hurrying on to the next and want my fast commissions. That's not what we do here. We do come across that. Like it's very obvious when you're dealing with certain agents that is their motivation. But I wouldn't say that's the most common, right? Because we all, with this job, our reputation is very huge. Because if I'm looking at getting referrals from my clients, I want them to always speak highly of me.
Yep.
And I also want to do a good job for you.
And you also want to sleep at night.
Yeah. Like,
you're not trying to rip someone off.
No, like if I know my clients are having issues of like last minute issues with financing or whatever it may be, I am not sleeping. Like I'm trying to figure out scenarios in my head where other agents can just like put it, but that's work. And then they're fine at home. I'm like, no, I'm stressing until we get this done.
Yeah.
But that's all comes with understanding your realtor more on a personal level, I would say, because you kind of know what their values are and what they are doing for you, and that we're keeping you as our best interest opposed to our pockets being our best interest.
Yeah. And yeah, that's something that you do need to kind of be self-aware about as a home buyer is my realtor being too pushy? Like, are they kind of advising me? Like, for example, I had a client one time where I advised him, like, his max was 1.8. I'm like, you cannot afford more than 1.8 for a purchase. His realtor purchased him something that was 2.2. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this now, right? So it's also like you kind of have to, you kind of have to make that educated decision. Like, okay, my mortgage broker is telling me one thing. The one who's actually dealing with the finance is telling me one thing. But so why is my realtor not listening to that and buying me something that's, like.
So the other thing that people can use as a flag is like, is their agent asking to speak with their mortgage broker? Are they asking to create this collaborative experience for you? Because that's how we all get it done. When there's broken telephone or the agent really doesn't care and just says, oh, this is a good house, put an offer on it, we'll get financing, no worries. They're not looking in your best interest.
Totally.
So yeah, that gives me anxiety.
It does. Yeah. It gave me anxiety. And then they're like, okay, now figure it out. And I'm like, how? Like, do you just have an extra $400,000 like stashed under your mattress that I didn't know about? Like, how do I figure this out? He ended up not getting the house. That was a whole thing. He got sued. So let that be a lesson learned.
Yeah. So this is funny. I would say a couple of years ago, anyways, just before the plummet, there was this house I took my clients to. It looked fantastic in photos. We got there and it was just very well, like very slapped together. It was not finished nicely.
Yeah.
It just, there was issues. So I advised my clients not to go for it. And then I end up getting in contact somehow with the person that bought it. And he was telling me, oh, like I have this property. It kind of, my agent told me to buy it. It was a good deal. And then he was describing it to me and I'm like, is it this? Like, and I said the property address. He's like, yeah, how did you know? I'm like, I saw it. And I said, there was no way in hell I would let my clients buy that house.
Oh my God.
Because he's going off about how bad, like they found all these things were wrong with it. And he's like, well, how could you tell? I said, you could tell walking through that it was very slapped together.
Yeah.
And I did not let my clients buy it.
Yeah.
And he was like just floored that I just came out to say, I'm like, there's no way. So yeah, very interesting. But you always want to make sure they're always looking at your best interest. The other thing that people think that we could be greedy or whatever the misconception is if we're firm with our commissions, right? So a lot of people want us to discount. There's instances where we can, and there's instances where we can't. Depending on the property, we know how much the marketing will be to market your property, what goes into it. And you definitely want an agent, not because they're the cheapest, but because they hold value and that you understand the value that you're getting from them.
And also, like, the thing is, like, no two properties are the same. So maybe you discount your fee for one property, but then you can't do it for another property because it requires more work.
Absolutely.
Or it's a harder property to sell, as you were saying, right? So, like, that's also another thing that people need to understand. And this is a huge thing with referrals, too, I feel, is that, like, sometimes maybe you'll get referred something and that person will tell them like, oh, you should use Natalie because she gave me like X percentage fee. But then you can't do that for this new person because their property is not the same. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
people need to be made aware of that too. These are very case by case, like very situational, I would say.
And like with a listing, a lot goes into marketing. It's not just here, we're going to take pictures and put it on MLS and call it a day. We do paid advertisements. The photos and video that we take are extremely expensive.
Because they're good quality
They're
and
good
you've
qua-
done
well,
mine, so I know that.
Yeah. So it's not just like, oh, we're going to hire whoever just to take them. No, like we are very intentional with what we do. And it's taken us a long time to kind of craft and hone this in because once we implement it, it will work for everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just food for thought.
No, totally.
Okay. So I have to keep logging into my phone to get these questions. Okay. Mortgage agents only work with high income buyers.
No. I was gonna say I wish, but then also I don't wish because each come with their own different set of problems. No, we work with everyone. I've helped out a lot of, people with credit issues or people with lower income or people who have high income, but because they're self-employed, they don't show all of it, right? Because it's in their business, so they don't personally claim all of it. We work with everybody, which is why I said previously, we're not like the banks. Like we can take all of these different things into consideration. Like maybe you show low income, but you have a high net worth. We can take that into consideration because a lot of lenders have high net worth programs. Maybe you're a low income earner, but you have a lot of equity in your house. I can do equity based lending with some lenders if it's your primary residence. We have so many different options. And worst case scenario, like we take you to an alternative lender, we take you to a private lender, like the deal can still be done. I've worked with a lot of clients who have great income, but not so good credit just because of, life got in the way and they, something happened and they weren't able to make their payments, but they make good income. So I put them in a private for 1 year. And then I say in a year, we're going to refinance you out because you have good income and put you in with a B or with a lender. Like I also do credit counseling. I tell people how to get their credit back on track. There's a lot of different things that can be done.
Yeah. And that does make you a lot different from just walking into your bank because you're tailoring the experience to what they need opposed to like, here's the product that we have. Take it or leave it.
Make it work. Yeah, right. Like we make the product work for you.
That, and then you're also looking at the trajectory of their purchase and
100%,
where you want to see them go.
100%. Like I want a client for life. I don't want a client for, the 3-year term that you're in this mortgage or the 5-year term that you're in this mortgage. Like I want you to come back to me upon renewal and be like, hey Deepika, like, you said that I worked on my credit. It's great now. Like let's get us into a B lender or an A lender. Like I've had those repeat clients come back to me and it makes me feel good. And I like that they trust me. And I always want to do good by my clients and that's my fiduciary duty. So no, we don't. What? No, I'm not the best. Listen, we're trying to work on lowering my ego over here, okay? No, but no, we don't only work with high income buyers and come one, come all. We can figure something out.
Yeah.
All right. Next one for you.
What is it?
Real estate agents can guarantee a certain sale price. Oh my God, wouldn't life be great?
I would be a billionaire if I
That's
could
like me guaranteeing loans.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, maybe if you were the one buying it.
Okay, so I know everybody handles this differently, and there are like advertisements out there of like, hey, this agent guarantees your sale or he'll buy it.
Oh my God, I've seen so many of
Okay.
those. Okay, what's the thing? What's the marketing tactic behind that?
The marketing tactic is the amount that they're agreeing
Is like
to
way
buy
under.
is way under.
Market value.
And then
Figured.
also the commission, like I've heard the commission that they charge when they're doing those deals, it's way higher than 5%.
Really?
Yes.
Wait, so you can charge higher than 5%?
You can charge whatever you want.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Agents can charge whatever we want. We don't have a cap, but again, like
It's a
this
norm,
is like kind of what you're seeing with
Right.
everybody, and then here's like, ooh, Joe Blow who wants over 6%. So yeah, one understanding that I always do a sliding scale. I said like in today's market, we could roughly get X to X. This is what you can expect. sellers will have their own expectations. So we'll see, okay, you may be up here, but the market and your neighborhood's showing this. Why is your home differing? What's happening? But when dealing with people, I already know where they're going to be falling. Like I already have an idea of where they should be, where they should be at. And it doesn't really differ too much from what they sell for.
Damn. That's impressive.
It's an art.
No, it is an art. I really think it is an art.
I just think it comes naturally because if we're doing this all the time, like I don't know if it's the same for everybody else, but I know roughly where you should fall.
I just think it's impressive because sometimes I try to like play realtor or I try to play like the role of an appraiser and I like look on House Sigma or whatever it may be and I look at like I do this for my own condo. I'm like, oh, if I sold it today, what would it be worth? But then it's like, and we were talking about this in our episode with the appraiser that like one house, like, okay, so you look at a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo, right? One can sell for $650 and one can sell for $750.
Yeah.
So for me doing your job, like how would you differentiate? Say you were selling a 2-bed, 2-bath. Where would you kind of place it?
Ideally, we don't just have those two comparables. We should have a little bit more. And if we don't have more, then I'll even go further back to see like what's it increasing year over year type thing. But say we do have a big differentiation between two. One should have less upgrades than the other. But if they're close in upgrades and we have such a big gap, then there's some sort of anomaly that has happened. So either there's something that we can't see that is an issue that we won't know, or like this has been happening in the condo market where I have a client we just conditionally sold, but the unit above us, which is the exact same, sold for a certain number, and we're like, it's way low than what they should have got. Yeah. And we knew it was vacant. They're probably in a rush to
and
get
like
rid
they
of
don't
it,
want to,
and they just dumped it and moved on. So we'll have those little anomalies within the market, but we should be able to sniff them out.
Okay, so it shouldn't be like such like an astronomical difference that you're like, what is going on here?
Yeah, when agents are like, for example, the agent's like, well, this sold for X. I said, I understand that sold for X, but then there's also this unit and this unit that are exact same as ours that got X and Y. Yeah. So can we not agree that this was a little bit way under? Yeah. So like that shouldn't be your basis point.
That shouldn't be the benchmark. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's that stuff is always going to be so complicated to me.
But that's also knowing the products out there. Like you have to know the sales. You have to like have this on the top of your head readily available, especially if you have a listing in that area. Which is like if I have a listing, I always have like set reminders at any time a house is listed or sells. Oh, nice. So I can actually just watch it.
So prepared.
Yeah.
Get yourself a realtor who will do all this. Oh it's my God.
Yeah. But yeah, you should, doing this long, you have a natural gauge of it. The only time it's really difficult to gauge is when we're in multiple offers, if we're in like a crazy market and we're using certain tactics. We obviously don't know how high we should get. And when we get higher than what I expected, like it's ecstatic. But yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's impressive to me, man. That's like the one thing I'm like, pricing, I don't know.
You have to also like understand motivation. Like what's your client's motivation? What's the ideal buyer that they're looking at? What are they like? What are the thought process of the buyer that's coming in? Right?
I also think market really matters because there was once upon a time where I was really good at looking at comparables and I'd be like, oh, it's probably worth about this. And I would get an appraisal back and it would be worth around that. Yeah. But nowadays it's like I'm completely off.
The best is House Sigma. When they have like the price listed at,
and like estimated value
like,
is never correct.
Annoying. Yeah, because you'll see like the house decrease or increase in price, and that always fluctuates. I'm like,
I think also because sometimes on House Sigma, like you can't really see the interior and like what upgrades they have and like what whatever the case may be. So maybe that's I don't know, whatever. That's why you're good at your job.
No, it's an algorithm that's just like spitting out a number to you.
Yeah.
Using a mortgage broker costs more.
Yeah, this is another issue I had with the same clients that they were like, oh, if we use your services and then we choose not to go with you, like, will we have to pay you? And I was like, pay me for what?
Again, we're commission.
Yeah, like I wish I could charge you. Like I genuinely wish there was something in place that like we could like take a deposit or something, and then
Like
you would have to
here's
work
my
with
retainer.
us. Yeah, like I wish we could have retainers, but unfortunately we cannot and do not. Yeah. So, and I told her, I was like, no, pay me for what? Like, I'm like, you may have to pay the lender because like alternative lenders do charge lender fees.
Yeah.
And I'm like, depending on which lender we go with, but if we're going with an A grade bank, then no, there's no fee involved.
But I'm wondering how much of that came from the bank, like came from the person at the bank. Because they were probably said, hey,
oh,
we're
100%,
yeah, I'm just like,
100%.
You were probably fed this information at some point.
100%. And that's fair. I mean, we're all commission based, right? Like whether you work as a mortgage specialist for the bank or you work as a mortgage agent independently, like we're all commissioned. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants a piece of the pie. That's why this industry is so ruthless. So I know like, and that's the thing, there's so much information on the internet about this industry that it does get very confusing. It's like the fitness industry where there's so much information online that sometimes something comes out and then 2 months later it's like, okay, no, that was a myth. So I get it. Like people, especially with mortgages, because there's so many policies and laws coming out and then, you know, rate announcement and then prime decrease, but oh, does that mean my fixed rate's going to decrease? Like there is a lot. It's very convoluted. So I get it. There's, you know, people saying one thing and then people believing them, and then I get it. But yeah, no, it doesn't have to cost more. It can cost more. And I also don't want to say that because it can cost more. Like if you go with a private, yes, of course it's going to cost more than going with a bank. Or if you go with like a B lender, yeah, it's going to cost more. But like bank to bank, like if you're going to TD branch and you're coming to me and I place you with TD, it shouldn't cost more.
No, it's the same.
Yeah.
I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Good info.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you were asking me.
Okay, real estate agents only work for sellers. I didn't even know that was a misconception.
Apparently it is. No, we don't. You can work for the buyer and seller. You know what I just learned? In Kelowna, I have a client that has a property in Kelowna.
Like BC?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he wants to rent it out. So here we can do rentals. We can represent a landlord, tenant, buyer, seller. And in Kelowna, the realtors only do buying and selling. They don't even touch the rental market. So you have to use like a property management company, and there only seems to be one.
Oh
yeah. There's like apparently only one that everybody uses, and they're slow as molasses. But anyways, we can represent buyer, seller, landlord, tenant. I think it's the most advantageous for a buyer to have a designated real estate professional working for them one-on-one, opposed to them doing it on their own. And I know people think, oh, I can see all the properties and the sale history and I can do this all by myself now. Mm-hmm. But you don't pay us. We cost you nothing because it comes from the listing brokerage to pay us. There's instances where that's not the case, but to be honest, I've never come up with any of those scenarios where I've actually had to get paid out by my client.
Like if you're on the buying side, right?
Yeah. It's always been the listing brokerage. So we don't essentially cost you anything.
Yeah. Why would you not, as a buyer, want to go with a real estate agent?
We're looking in your best interest. Like our job is to get you that house for the least amount of money. Lots of people go to the listing agent. And I love when that happens to me, but I also I can easily differentiate the two. Majority of people who you're calling them off the listing, their first client is the seller, and that's who they are trying to represent. And
they really don't have your best interest at heart.
No. And I see it all the time because I've had clients go like, oh, we went to this house. The agent, talked us into putting in the offer and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, looking at it, you overspent on this house. Why didn't you, one, give me a call or any other person to represent you? You just kind of went in blindly and got caught up in the hype of it. But yeah, as a buyer, definitely have an agent representing you. Mm-hmm. Just knowing the process and creating that pathway for you is super simple. All you have to do is essentially plug into their system and they take care of the rest. But yeah, no, we don't just deal with sellers.
That would be kind of messed up if you did only deal with sellers, though. That would be then who would the buyers go to?
Us, apparently. So the public needs to understand there's different relationships that you can have with agents. So you can represent yourself. You can work with a buying agent or a selling agent. Yeah, that's pretty much what you can do.
No, but it's like, I'm saying like the people who have the misconception that, oh, realtors only work with sellers, that would be kind of messed up because then the buyers would be like, shit out of luck. You know what I mean?
Well, they think that like in
who
order
would
for them
they
to go
work
see
with?
that house, they have to go with the listing agent, which is not true.
Yeah, no.
You can go call your agent to show you. And it's preferred
Yeah,
that you
and
call
you
them.
should go with your, like you should go with your buying agent.
Yeah,
to
I've
go
had
show
people
you.
that are like, oh, we're going to open houses. Do we tell them that you're my agent? Absolutely. I also would like to go with you because I can see it. But if they've gone to an open house, they've dropped my name and they really like it, I will either go back with them or I'll go back on my own to go see it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're interested, I'm not going to just go in blindly and be like, oh, my client came to your open house and they like it.
Yeah, like
No.
you need to know what you're working with.
And then there's been this other thing that's come up, and a lot of agents now have it on their listing, like commissions reduced by 1% if the listing agent showed the property to the buyer or any buyer in their family, because a lot of agents would just send their client with the listing agent.
Oh, and get them to do all the work?
Get them to do all the work and then be like, okay, here's my offer. So, yeah.
That's interesting. Damn.
Yeah, we just need better quality.
I
in our
agree.
industry.
That's the thing. I think a lot of these misconceptions, while most of them are wrong, but like I get where they come from.
Yeah.
Because, like the quality of mortgage agents and real estate agents is not the best. Like obviously these misconceptions are arising from somewhere. It's not like, the general public is just making it up.
Yeah, and it happens in
Right?
every industry. But
Yeah.
I find because we are so convoluted, like I go to a party and there's at least one or two realtors, and I can sniff them. I can sniff them out.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, so it's just like I'm even exhausted by us, and like I don't like telling people, oh, like I'm the third realtor that you probably talked to this night, but. I don't lead with that. Like if I'm meeting you, I don't lead with my job. Like I don't want that
100%.
because I don't want to have the conversation either.
And
But if
it's
you're
like-
honestly interested in my opinion, then yes, let's have a conversation. But I don't want to be poaching.
100. I agree
at
with
all
that so much. I
times.
find that so like just like shady and like
cringy.
cringy and like I don't like that because it's like people don't want to be sold to, and I feel like we get a lot of bad rep in our industry because I think people think we're constantly trying to sell you something, but it's like if you're actually good at your job, then you don't actually have to sell anything. People will just come to you because you give good advice.
Yeah.
I think that's what both
So-
of us strive to do, right?
You know what's so cute? My neighbor across the street, they moved in a couple years ago, and he came out. We were like kind of crossing paths. He's like, "Oh, Natalie," he's like, every time I see you, I think of real estate. I didn't represent him to buy the house. We had maybe one or two conversations
Yeah.
on our street talking about it, but every time he sees me now, that's what he thinks of, which is sweet.
I love that.
Yeah, so it was like kind of natural, which is the approach that I would like.
And then maybe next time he will hire you, or maybe he won't. And
No, let's keep
it's
him. He's good.
okay.
He's good on the street. We keep him.
You're like, I don't want you to go anywhere. No,
no.
yeah. For me, I also don't get offended if like I have a conversation with someone and then they don't go with me, right? Because it's just like that's a really personal decision that you're making. Oh.
To that point.
Well, okay, to the extent, because if I'm like holding your hand and if I'm like trying to get you to the finish line and then the last minute you go with someone else, that's a different thing.
I have had friends and family members who literally exhaust me of like asking every question. What would you list it at? Can you take a look at this? Blah, blah, blah. I'm literally giving them everything and assuming
they
that
don't
I'm
use
going to
you.
help you
Yeah.
because you're literally asking me everything. And then they will go and do that exact same thing with somebody else.
But also if they're friend and family, like that's not nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I get it. But like, I have to let it go. I get that.
No, not you. I'm saying that's not nice on their end to like not use you.
Yeah, but even to the point where they have it listed with that other person and then they're calling
they're still
me
asking you
and asking
like
me
for like
my
a second
advice.
opinion.
I'm like, you should have just gone with me. If you care that much about what what I have to say and you
Yeah.
obviously don't have that relationship with the other person.
Yeah.
Why aren't we working together?
Oh my God. Yeah.
I've actually had that recently. 2 instances, right? One, I sold a house in record time in a neighborhood.
Okay.
And
Applause.
yeah.
Pat on the back.
And I had someone call me who has their property listed with a really good agent, and ask me like, what did I do? And when they expire, if they're still listed, or if they still want, like, if they haven't sold, if I would take them on. So it's like, oh, okay. But like going over what I'm telling them, I'm not obviously giving them all the information because they don't want them to just go do that with their agent.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just really interesting that on 2 occasions I've been asked about that for people that are listed. So what happens?
Well, clearly that means you are very knowledgeable is what I'm taking from this.
I appreciate that.
No, but you are very knowledgeable,
I need
honestly.
like a little teaspoon of your ego.
Yeah, please
That's how we're
take
going to do
it.
your therapy. We're going to do your therapy. You transferring some
Okay,
to me.
I will transfer
and then we'll
50%
both
of my
be
ego.
whole.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Okay, let's get you your next question.
Wait, was it you or was I supposed to ask you?
You asked me, I think. Yeah, we can guarantee a sale price. No, we only work with buyers or sellers. Sorry. Oh, I kind of touched on this. It says like you don't need a real estate agent in the age of online listings. I don't think so. I've thought about this a lot because
That's like the same as saying, oh, you don't need a mortgage agent because you can just go online. Like some of those brokerages have their own like application processes. It's like, what? Absolutely not. Same thing.
I love it. No, like again, it's the knowledge that we've acquired.
100%.
And that goes with any profession. Like you're not going to just go and represent yourself for a lawsuit because like you've read about it online. No, really.
No, it's true.
There's just like,
But I feel like people don't undermine other professions as much as ours get undermined. Yours and mine. Like I feel like nobody really undermines lawyers.
I would love it
You
to be
know?
a lot more difficult for people to get their license. And I say that because it has been known to be very fraudulent. Like even when I was taking my courses, you could tell this person doesn't speak
Proper
any
English. Yeah.
And they're acing these tests.
Yep.
So there's something wrong, especially when we were in person back in the day. I'm like, you're not writing anything down. You're just here to get the attendance.
100%.
So
No, I agree with you.
I think it should be more difficult.
There needs to be more barriers to entry.
Yes. Yeah. And they've tried to with making it a college course. But still, like, it's super easy for people
It's
to
super
get in.
easy. And honestly, it's not as expensive as it should be because like if you're a top realtor, like you make good money and it should be more expensive to get your license because you're doing it for the rest of your life.
And then I also think that we really need to get stronger on our regulating body coming down on us.
Same with us. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Same with us. Ours needs to be
Like
more
you hear some of the fees and like, I'm like,
strict.
like if you get sued. But I think that fear needs to be there because people feel like they're untouchable and they can just do whatever they want, which
You
is
know what I think
not
it
the
is?
case.
Back to our favorite topic, the government.
Yeah.
I think because so much of our economy relies on real estate, like even with all these new policies that they're coming out with mortgages and stuff to try to like stimulate the market, I think the government doesn't want to, like the governing bodies don't want to come down on us so much is because like they know that people need to be purchasing homes in order for it to like keep the economy going.
Like, why do we need so many of us? Because if we go back to the 1% of agents are doing most of the work, that means tons of people aren't really doing much.
anything.
They're just paying these fees.
Because they get fees for free. It's a business at the end of the day, right? They're getting all these people paying fees for free.
Yeah, that I get. Like I get the money aspect for the governing bodies and stuff, but it's just like
Plus also it's a free market, probably like to create competition so that the 1% of realtors don't get lazy. Or not just realtors, also us. Like also like same industry. When I say realtors, I also mean mortgage agents because it's the same thing. Like the top 1% of us do most of the work as well. But for us not to get complacent and lazy and be like, oh, these people are going to come to us anyways, it like creates a little bit of competition. Right? Free market.
Yeah, I get it's free, but it should be a little bit different.
But I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like kind of like be the devil's advocate, but like I do agree with you that
Yeah.
it's really saturated and it's become too easy and it's almost like our jobs have become a joke at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And it's not a joke. It's this very serious thing. Like you're making a huge purchase and then you're financing that huge purchase. Like what is funny about this?
Yeah, like all the mortgage fraud that's come out, people apparently selling houses somehow and they're not even the actual sellers. Like there's lots that has been coming out that have been happening. And like it's just obviously it's a shame. But yeah, I don't know. We do have a bad rep.
But also back to the online listing thing, you can't just what was the point that you can just,
They don't need an agent because they can just look online, which yes,
Yeah.
you do have all the information now. You can see sales, but can you interpret those sales? A lot of people can't.
but that's the thing. Like if I feel like if I'm having troubles interpreting sales like appropriately every time and like I'm in this industry, like I feel like the common person just can't do that for themselves. You know what I mean?
I think people our age and younger think that they know more. And there's some instances because like I have clients that know every house that has been listed and sold on their street and they're very in tune. Yes, but they also understand the value of having an agent. So that's different. But then you have these other people like, oh, I can just, this is how much it sold for. And like, this is what I'm going to give them.
But then those are always the people that like try and then get burned. And then 6 months later, they'll like bring you up and be like, Natalie, I actually need you to list this for me.
Yeah, those are the ones that get roped into something else. You're like, should have.
Should have, yeah.
Yeah.
It happens to me all the time. It like clients will come to me and be like, hey, like this is the financing. And I'm like, okay, this is what it's going to be. And they're like, nope, don't want to do it that way. They leave. And then, you know, a couple weeks later, they come back. And I'm like, now you ruined it for yourself.
Like,
you
even
know?
if I were to retire, I would still use a real estate agent. Like, even if I wasn't doing this job, I would be using a realtor. And that's why sites like Comfree and all these, like,
whatever ones, yeah, like that pineapple one.
Yeah, they don't last because at the end of the day.
Or Purple Bricks or whatever it's called.
Honestly, dealing with those agents were horrid.
Mm-hmm.
And like the clients are paying for service and they're not getting anything.
My brother did it for his very first house 8 years ago. He bought it when he was like before he got married, and it was in Niagara. He bought it as like a rental, and then he was like, "I'm getting married. Like I'll just sell it, whatever. Like I want money for my wedding, whatever the case is." He went through like Comfrey or whatever it was called, like whatever Purple Bricks was called before.
Yeah, Comfrey.
And he's like, "I regret it so much. I will never ever do that again." So now, you know, he's married and now they're looking to upsize and whatever. And now he's like, I'm going to use a realtor. Like there's like no chance I'm not going to use a realtor.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. Like it's, and like, even for me, like when I closed my condo, like I went through a mortgage person to do it. Like I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to do it myself or whatever the case may be, even though I could have. It's like, I don't know, being in this industry, like I just just do it. Like just, you know, I don't want to do other people's mortgages and then also do my own. Kind of thing.
When I sell, if I could put someone in between, I would love to do that.
You can.
I know I can, but then I'm also a little bit of a control freak.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
I would like to.
I mean, I was on top of him the whole time of being like, is it getting done? And this is the rate I want and fix it. But like,
yeah, because I do think, as much as I can disassociate myself from my house, there's still like that little bias when negotiating. We were actually talking. My kids were asking me about our old house, and at that time, I was livid with the people buying it because
did you do the
I was listing it.
Okay.
So we got the offer. Every time this couple came through, their kid would be playing with my kids' toys. And like, oh, yeah, okay. I am very I'm going to sound like such a rude person, but not even if it's my house. Even if it was my client's house, I would be livid because you're walking through somebody's home and you're allowing your child to go and like touch things that aren't yours. This is not a playground.
Yeah.
This is somebody's home. These are their things. And so
yeah,
I wouldn't say anything at the beginning. And then once we got firm, I started to say stuff. Every time they would come back, I would like say, can you make sure that the clients don't allow their child to play with my kids' toys? And that was like when my kids were young. So I'm like, I just was sick of germs and like all this other stuff that were going through my head. And then also like, don't touch my stuff. Like you're going through our things.
Mm-hmm.
And to the point where like, I guess they were in the backyard at one showing and we had like a sandbox and it was like purple sand because that was the only color they had at the time. And there's purple sand all in our interlocking. All over the place. I'm like,
wait,
now I have to clean up this freaking purple sand.
No, that's crazy.
I was livid.
Okay, that's not even like playing with toys.
No,
that's making
it was
a mess.
like I would come home
that's
to a
making
mess.
a mess. No, that's awful.
Like the kids' playroom would be a disaster. And I'm like, what? I would have toys from upstairs brought downstairs. So like they're letting their kid just go free in our home. Which even if my clients have kids, like I just like say, hey, we're all going to stay together. Kids get excited. But like
talk about seeing yourself in a home, but that's like next level.
It would really
that's
aggravate
awful.
me. But my kids ever asking like, why did we leave? Like, why couldn't we stay in that house longer? And then they were asking me like who bought it. I'm like, oh, it was a family. And then it just brought me back to like all of our stuff being
Triggered.
trashed while they were around. I'm like, oh God. Anyways, that was
No, that is triggering. That's crazy. Like the fact that you would have to clean up.
I would literally
That's awful.
spend like 10, 15 minutes after cleaning up the toys that the kid played with.
And then the sand, that's so annoying.
Yeah. Especially because it was purple. It's like interlocking like purple all over the place.
Oh my God.
Like when my kids played with it, it wasn't a disaster everywhere.
Yeah.
So like, what are you doing? And I didn't have cameras at the
like,
time.
no, but also just to like go into somebody's home and do that, like that's so disrespectful.
I thought it was. Yeah. Like for me to have to tell the agent when you guys are coming back for your revisit, please ensure that if they have their children with you, don't let them play with my kids' toys.
They probably were like, oh, we're buying this house anyways. We're entitled to it.
Yeah. That's the vibe that I got.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's got me angry now.
Yeah, no, that would make me angry too, for sure. I get that.
Is there any other like misconception that you're seeing that we didn't mention?
No, I don't think so. But the last one that was like the online thing, like it's the same thing with us. It's like people are always like, oh, are you worried that AI is going to take over your job? No, I don't think so. The mortgage job is so complicated that I don't think AI could really take over the job. Like I don't think there's like an algorithm or an equation that you can plug into that would spit you out with a mortgage approval. Yeah. Because, okay, if you're a first-time home buyer, for sure. Like if you have zero debt, if you have like a 20% down payment, if you have your first-time home buyer, this is the first time you're buying, sure, that's easy. But if you're like a seasoned investor, if you have like 10 investment properties, if you have a hold co, if you have this, that, and the other, if you're going through a divorce and a spousal buyout and this, that, and the other, no, like I don't think it's gonna happen.
And at the end of the day, like I want to deal with people. Like how annoying is it when you call somebody like for service and you're dealing with the operator? Like try calling your cell phone. I'm like, I don't want to talk to you.
No, I literally am like zero. I press zero until it like is me, and then it's like, okay, we're transferring you to a customer service representative. I want to deal with people. Yeah, I can't do the whole like AI thing. Like, tell us what your problem is today. Like sometimes I call Amex and they're like, tell us in a few words what you're calling about today. I'm like, just get me a person. Yeah.
Human. No, yeah. But like to that, AI does help make our job easier. Like
100%.
But I don't think it will take it away. Like who's going to unlock the door? Because all we do is just show home. So like who's going to unlock
That's
the
all you
door?
That's all you do.
And let people in.
How is AI going to negotiate a property for you? Like what?
I would love it.
No, but AI does we use AI all the time for our podcast, and like I use AI for my jobs or like marketing, right? AI is great for marketing, like coming up with captions and stuff, right? But like social media, but no, not to like take over our jobs, I don't think, because there still is a human aspect, a huge human aspect involved in our job. I would say 95% of our job is relationship management. And if you're not good at relationship management, you cannot do our jobs.
Okay, so I had a client that messaged me. I wish I could show the text message. He basically said, like, do you realize that your job is just to deal with people's problems? He's like, it's really not to do with the house. It has to deal with people's problems.
And how you problem solve.
Yes. I'm like,
we're
thank you for noticing
therapists.
That, like, and I don't say it to people like, oh, I'm like, hairdressers are like, they always say like, oh, I'm like the second therapist. But like it was nice to hear that they actually realize that
we're definitely problem solvers.
Yes.
The amount of times I've like, my clients have like what's it called? Like they've just unpacked to me or like whatever, just let loose on me. And I'm just like, didn't need to know, but happy to know.
Yeah. Like
how can I help?
When you're dealing with like divorce situations.
Yes. Huge.
Honestly, I enjoy dealing with it because I know that I can deal with their situation like very tactfully. Because I've had certain scenarios where they don't want to talk to each other at all. So I have two different conversations happening.
Yeah.
Or I bring in another agent so they don't think like, oh, you're talking more to him than me. So yeah, there's different ways to do it. Or they're very amicable. So like just being a part of it and trying to make sure that everybody is considered. And I guess it has to do with my background too. Just like you're all considered. We're trying to get you guys like through this together. And as easily as possible.
100%. I'm the same way. I am like just a hugely empathetic person. So when somebody is going through something, like I need to be there for them and I need to listen to them. And I like the same as you, like I need to make sure like they're getting through it and all those things.
It makes you work harder for them too.
100%. And I'm like, I want to help you get through this crazy situation. I want to make sure that you're not being taken advantage of, but some people go through.
Yeah.
Some people have to go through crazy things and like,
Have you ever had to like let a client go because of their situation?
yeah.
Yeah, I've had to too.
But like crazy situations that like I can't talk about on camera, but I'll let you know off camera.
I've had to do it just because I was trying to help them. Like they were financially strapped, and the mortgage broker that they were using did some shady thing that basically ate up all the equity in the house. So she was left with nothing.
Negative equity, yeah.
Yeah. And
That happens quite a bit.
it does.
Yeah.
So I was trying to help her out, and then we created a game plan, and she just kind of veered off and was like, next level. I'm like, hey, if you can't, this is like the way to get you out of it. If you don't want to do it this way, I can't
Help you? Yeah.
which is sad.
Yeah. No, I've had a lot of different crazy situations happen to me that I'll tell you about it later. But yeah. like it's, people get into interesting situations and.
Again, it's financial literacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
All right. Well, I hope you guys learned something, some truths, I guess, or our
Some
truths regarding our industry.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Bye.